Hi, I'm Riza Grant, National Beach Volleyball player, and you're watching Scoreboard on ICTN.
Welcome to another edition of Scoreboard here on ICNTT, it's always a pleasure every Tuesday evening between the hours of 8 and 9, where we come into your homes, where we bring something that is relevant in sport in Trinidad and Tobago. Before we get into tonight's topic, I just want to ask Trinidad and Tobago to spare a thought for the people of St. Vincent with that disaster that's happening across there. Please keep those people in prayer because it's a terrible situation. As you know, we from time to time always bring the sport of rugby on ICTN. We have been doing that for a number of years and we will continue. And on the 20th of this month, they will be hosting the election to vote for a new executive that will run the affairs of rugby. I sent out an invitation to all the nominees to come on to Scoreboard to discuss their plans and all the different ideas of what they have in store. And on this first segment, we have 5 of the nominees who will be here with me sharing their ideas and what they intend to do if elected into the position. First of all, let me introduce Mr. Chad Simon. He represents Royals. It's a pleasure and welcome.
Thank you.
We have Miss Celeste Cleason Green.
Yes, correct.
You are from Radius Rugby Club.
Correct.
And Mr. Kenwin Davis from Defense Force.
Correct.
Ladies, gents, welcome.
Thank you.
Chad, let me start with you. Tell us about your role in rugby, association with your club, and how long have you been in the sport?
Okay, well, I've been playing rugby for about 14 years now. I started when I was 18 at university, 32 now. Started playing rugby league when I came to Trinidad. Migrated to Trinidad in 2011. And I've been playing rugby union since then. I played for 3 clubs in the country, UAE, Northerns, and finally Royals, my final home, I guess. And it's been good. It's a great experience so far. I've made several friends, I think lifetime friends in the sport. We've developed as a club, as people over the 14 years that I've played, and it's been good so far.
Right, and you're vying for the Assistant Secretary Treasurer of the Union.
Correct.
Right. Ms. Green, you ain't looking for no assistant, you want the secretary job. Tell us a bit about your involvement in the sport and how long you have been actively involved in rugby.
All right, so I have not played rugby. However, I have been in the background with rugby for the past 10 years, beginning with the inception of Radius RFC, which is one of the newer rugby clubs in the East. Additionally, I serve on the executive of Ttfru, which is the Trinidad and Tobago Rugby Executive East. That was born out of an initiative by the Ttfru to decentralize rugby. So I serve as the secretary of Ttfru. I also assist in the background, as I would say, with different initiatives born out of the Ttfru. For example, the rugby symposium that they hold at the Youth Training Center, where they would bring young players from the fraternity together with different stakeholders, universities, these things. So I have been performing a background role in that sense. Additionally, my spouse is involved in rugby in terms of rugby administration and of course Radius RFC. So I think it would be fair to say that I have been eating, breathing, sleeping rugby for approximately the past 10 years.
That's good. Mr. Davis. Yeah.
So I've started playing rugby in 2005, so the last 16 years. I with Defense Force. I've been on the executive as the treasurer since 2011. I've also done an internship at the Ttfru as the technical director in 2019. So that's
Well, let me continue with you. What insight do you have in executive functions? Like, what do you, if elected, what do you intend to bring to the executive?
All right, so being the treasurer of the Defense Force, I have that experience, as well as I'm also doing sports management at UB currently. So I'm in my final year. I just have my thesis to complete. I hope that to take all that I've learned there to assist the Ttfru, rugby in Trinidad and on the whole, to carry it further than where it is today. Now it's in a bad position, but I just want to assist in my way of expanding the rugby in Trinidad and Tobago.
And Chad, you're going to put the same position too, right?
Correct.
So what you were going to bring now that can be different to him, you know?
Okay, well, different from the sports management side of things, I would have had a lot of experience in my professional life. I'm a financial analyst by profession, and my goal is definitely with the succession planning of the position. So from here, I plan to go for treasurer of the position. So start as assistant treasurer, learn from the incumbent, Mr. Curtis Nero, for maybe a year or two, and then succeed him. My plans would definitely be to incorporate corporate Trinidad and Tobago into rugby, so get more corporate sponsorships, and then definitely manage the funds better on a budget scale. I do budget management for a living, so I plan to use those skills to enrich the rugby in the country.
Okay. When you look back now at rugby over the years, you know, in what area, I mean, anyone of you could jump in here, right? In what areas do you think that needs your quick attention to get, you know, once elected to the position, you know, what are some of the major issues or challenges, if I should say, that you all will be tackling head on? I mean, anyone of you could answer that.
Okay, so I'll start. I think we need to continue development, right? Because without development, there is no future in rugby, right? There is a YDU program. I think my intention would be to build on that current program, expand it a bit, try to get as much youths playing the game as possible. Because my regret is that I didn't start this game at a young age. I started at 19, 20. Right? I think I could have reached further. You know, started at a young age. Yeah?
Ms. Green, you tell me you have a wide array of years of experience, right? But taking over leadership in any federation or organization, it's a little bit different to running the affairs of clubs, and there's more responsibilities and things like that. How confident are you that once elected in that position, you can safely take the union to a different level in that area of honorary secretary?
Okay, so I would say based on my skills, I am quite confident in my ability. In terms of profession, I am a correction officer, so I work with at-risk youth. In addition to that, I function through the training department. So I have experience in developing and in some instances facilitating training. The role of the secretary is multifaceted, but I would say that there are two major elements, one which would be efficient and effective communication, and the other being data management. So I would say in terms of communicating, I am able, in terms of my administrative background, I would be able to, because the role of the secretary would be to effectively communicate within the fraternity, that being with the various clubs, also stakeholders within the fraternity, being the referee society, the schools union, the coaching society, and then we move on to communicating regionally, where we would talk about Rugby Americas North and the various regional unions, and then we go further to talk about communicating with World Rugby, I think I have what it takes based on my skills, as I said, in administration to communicate effectively. Everything begins with communication. So once we could make the necessary linkages with various organizations, it would put us in a better position. As I mentioned as well, we talk about data management, record keeping, creating a player database. We're talking about minute keeping and accounting in terms of all major decisions that would have been taken within the fraternity. So again, bringing it back to my skill set and what I could contribute, I know that I would be an asset in that aspect. I would be able to as well assist with training because, as I said, I am part of Ttfru, which is the Trinidad and Tobago Rugby Executive East, which is a move that is still in its developmental stages in terms of decentralizing rugby, which would allow the spread of the game, which is something that is needed to get rugby throughout Trinidad and Tobago. As Davis would have said, he wished he would have played the game at a younger age. The spread of rugby would allow for a lot more young persons to get into the game. So my skills in terms of training, I would be able to bring that to bear as well in the decentralization of the game in terms of providing the various executives with the necessary administrative training where they would now know how to effectively run their various zones in a proper way to ensure that we not only have spread, but we have the long-term continuity of the game in the various areas. So I think, notwithstanding that I do not have the background of being on the executive, the skills that I have in collaboration with the Secretariat of Rugby, which is a very effective secretariat, I think once paired with the secretariat and my skills, and of course the other persons vying for the positions, when we bring all skills together, I think I'm good to go.
Because most likely, you all come out successful. Either one of these guys will be working alongside you.
Yes.
Right? So I guess you all are in constant meetings and planning stages and things like that, right? But how do you see this new committee assisting clubs?
Okay, so
the new executive, I should say.
Right, so I am familiar with a lot of the persons who are vying for the various positions, and we would all have our different skill sets, our different strengths, and once we all are mission-minded in terms of the betterment of rugby, and the spread of the game, the development of the players, I think once we pair our skills together, we won't have an issue. We would be able to work, we would be able to push the game, and we would be able to function effectively.
Is there anything that you all plan to inherit or take over from the executive that will be leaving office, should they leave office, right? That you are going to be building on, or some things that you'll want to change, you know, or anything that you'll feel that is not working right now, that you would like to tweet, you know, things like that?
The current president, Colin Peters, has been, for the last 2 or 3 years, trying to find a home for rugby. I would like to assist in getting that home because rugby is an important sport. It's a sport that needs a place to function. I think you having to compete with a football team or any other team that uses the current national stadiums, right? It's for us an issue because when we are unable to mark a field if there's a football game due sometime soon, because then you would have to prepare the field for that game later, right? So you know that alone in itself is an issue, right? So I think that if with our own home, that would be one problem that we wouldn't have at all. We could play right through the year.
Okay.
In addition to that, I'd like to speak about the spread. I know my two fellow compatriots here would have spoken about the spread of rugby across the country and the different zones. I think we'd like to expand on that, and not just expand on that, but increase the communication between the zones. So instead of we having East Rugby, Northern Rugby, Southern Rugby, if there's more communication between, say, a Northerns and a Rainbow, or a Roydens and a Radius, you know, just getting that camaraderie. Everybody knows the players. We build as a fraternity, as a group. That would be something that would definitely enhance the game across the country.
You spoke earlier about getting, you know, corporate Trinidad on board,
Yes.
you know, but how do you intend to do that right now? Because, you know, with the present COVID situations, a lot of businesses have been biting the bullet, so to speak, you know, with finances and things. What plan do you all have that you all could go out there and, you know, get that sponsorship or that funding that you all need to get?
Well, corporate Trinidad has definitely helped in the past. So definitely for the under-19 tours that they've been on in the past, they have reached out easily to different family members of players, and that is definitely where we can start. The community is very large. It's a lot larger than we think, and if we just speak to the members of the community, we can definitely get that support built. Also, if we start targeting larger companies, not just the smaller brands, but companies that have survived the pandemic, so to speak, we can definitely reach out to those companies and bring more money into the organization instead of relying on international rugby for support.
Another thing is that now I understand that the term is just 1 year, right? 1 year. Once given that opportunity, what do you all think, or what do you like to accomplish within the first year, that maybe when the election rolls around, you know, people can say, yes, we need to give this executive another chance because, you know, they have done, you know, something.
Okay. So I would say one of the things would be that we continue some of the major projects that have already been started. As Davis would have said, we continue looking for the home for rugby because that is extremely important and it's a necessity, as well as what Chad would have said in terms of networking with corporate Trinidad and Tobago, getting the fraternity to understand that it's not just about the executive spreading the game, but it's about each and every person in rugby getting the game out there, and hopefully, if for the very least within the year we could get more of Trinidad or the wider Trinidad and Tobago, both corporate and our regular citizens, talking about the sport of rugby, building a bit more respect for the sport of rugby, I would say that within a 12-month period, that would be a great accomplishment.
Now, the executive in the rugby is not a paid position, right? Now, how are you all going to go about this? Because I guess you all have your different professions, and something like this, it takes a lot of time and effort. Are you all prepared for that?
I would definitely say yes. Everybody, to make the decision to volunteer, you need to know beforehand that it takes a lot of time, right? I am a soldier by trade, right? Yes, I can function both there and at the executive. I have done it before, right? If needed be, I may ask for the time to complete a specific project, right? And depending on our responsibilities, I may be afforded it, right? As well as I can work around it. So yes, volunteering is difficult. At times it is strenuous on the human, on the body, on the family life, on the work life, the balance, right? But I think with that balance, you can make it work.
It goes without question that I do it. It's a lot harder to sit by and do nothing, I guess, than to volunteer the time and try to enrich the community, the game as a whole. I think if I was asked 3 years ago to do this, I'd have done it. It is not a burdensome task to me at all.
Now the election is on the 20th, right? Should you all be successful, how soon you all will be running and hitting the ground?
as soon as we're as soon as we're elected, I think we'll know all the members of the executive. We're not strangers to each other. We're no more than a phone call away, and I think we need to start working as soon as possible. And we have a lot of work to do in 12 months, and we plan to extend that to more years if given the opportunity.
Okay. What was your relationship with the team? Because as I said before the show started, two of you all going up for the same position. One will win and one won't win, right? What is next for the person who is not successful? Where do you fit in, or what do you intend to do?
Okay, well, for me, if not successful, I will still continue supporting the Ttfru as I would have done before. My internship will still continue, right? Any support that I am able to lend whoever is successful at that point in time, I have no problem doing it, because at the end of the day, this is for the betterment of the sport. Once the sport could go forward, whoever is in the driver's seat, I have no problem with that. I will.
Yeah, because my position would not only affect myself. If I were supposed to lose, I'd still provide the support. Corporate sponsorship would build the game. More money in the game means better performances, straight from the club level to straight to the national team level. So as long as I'm able to provide any assistance, I'm just a phone call away, and they know that.
Let's say the current executive gets re-elected. What is your next plan? Are you all going to be still actively doing the things that you all have set about to do here presently if you all win? How are you going to function afterwards? Let's say that you all are not successful. What is the next step?
All right, so, yeah.
Okay, so I would say for me personally, of course, what you are offering is for the development of the sport, not just for individual gain. So the skills that you're offering as a part of the executive, that offer would still be on the table even if you're not a part of the executive. So once there is something that's happening that you could lend your skills and your time to, by all means.
So you all will still keep that fire burden behind here to get the sport the way it's supposed to be?
Yes, it's for the sport.
Definitely.
100%.
Right. I want to give each of you all the opportunity to talk to the supporters of rugby as to why they should come out and support this executive, and to give you all the opportunity to run rugby for the next year. So I want to start with you.
Okay, all right. So I would urge everybody to come out and support. The rugby is at a point where everybody wants to return to the play. Right? The current persons everybody have new ideas. Everybody wants to come and assist in some way. Right? All we're asking is that you do your part. Your part would just be to come out and vote, come out and support, come out and help in any way that you can, and to take rugby forward.
Okay, that's great.
Right. So I would say, notwithstanding that I have not been a player of the sport of rugby, I have grown to have an immense love for rugby. I see a lot of room for growth for the sport, and I think that my skill set would be of a great asset in terms of the further development of the sport, the further spread of the sport. As I said, if we are able to decentralize the game, we would be able to push it further. There would be a need for training. I could bear assistance in that role. Additionally, I have a passion in terms of youth development, and rugby is making great strides in terms of youth development, and it would be a pleasure to be able to lend yourself to this in an administrative capacity. So in that sense, it would be a great pleasure to serve as the secretary of the Trinidad and Tobago Rugby Union.
Chad?
Okay. Well, in this position I'm going on for Assistant Secretary Treasurer, I would definitely like to lend my assistance, as it's in the name, to the Secretary and Treasurer to spread the game, to build the clubs, to build the coffers, importantly, of the union. And with that, we can bring rugby not just to the back burner, but to the forefront of Trinidadians' minds, where they know, okay, rugby is being played, what level it's being played at, and where they can find a local club to go and support. I think that's what we want. We want every Trinidadian to have a club that they attach themselves to. And that thing will be the final goal, where we have rugby in every household. Everybody has a rugby ball to pick up in the morning.
Do you see that as a challenge? Or?
It's a challenge, but it's definitely the goal. I think that's where everybody on this panel wants rugby to go to.
Anyone that you would like to say thank you to for the assistance and all that's happening behind the scenes right now before?
Behind the scenes right now, yes, I think the current president, Mr. Colin Peters, right, he has done a lot and he continues to do a lot, right. He has supported us, as well as the current secretary Maria Thomas. She has done a lot as well, instrumental in everything that is happening in rugby right now. Yeah, I understand that the boat going up for the presidency, at this point I would like to say by the best man would.
Or woman.
Or woman, sorry.
Yeah, and you all will be willing to work with anyone.
Whoever is there, the intention is to take rugby forward.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, lady, I want to say thank you very much. I want to wish you all the best come the 20th. Right? And as you all said, you all are not fit for the salary or anything like that, because there's no pay. You all are in for the love of the sport. And I really hope that, you know, rugby go from strength to strength. And I look forward to chatting to you all again, whether it's on the new executive or wherever. But I think that rugby is in good hands because of how you all, the plans that you all have and what you all intend to do. So again, thank you very much. And let's see what's happening on the 20th.
Definitely.
Viewers, we're going to take a short break. We want to thank these guys here for spending the first half an hour with us. And when we get back, we have 2 more nominees to chat with. So stay tuned. We'll be right back after this short break. Welcome back, viewers. Welcome back to Scoreboard on ICNTT. Well, as you know, on today's program, we are talking to nominees for the upcoming elections for the Trinidad and Tobago Football Rugby Union. And we have joining us now the 2 persons that are vying for the position of President and Vice President. We have Maria Thomas, who is vying for the presidency, and Mr. Don Sucre, who is vying for the Vice President position. Welcome again to ICNTT. Tell us a bit about why you decide to run for that position.
Well, first, George, I would like to thank you for extending the invitation to use this platform to let people know about the plans that all of the nominees have. I think that this is something new, to have the invitation extended equally to all nominees of all positions. And I'm very happy and grateful for you providing the platform, and also to the nominees who are here today, who have come in support of moving forward in rugby. I would acknowledge that everyone has volunteered their time this morning, as well as they will volunteer in the future, to building rugby, and I'm inspired to see how everyone is coming together and working together towards this common goal.
Okay. Well, as I said earlier, I did send out invitations to every member who is vying for selection on the executive. And we're still hoping that who didn't turn up today will turn up at a later date. Don, tell me a bit about yourself, you know, involved in the sport of rugby, and what made you come forward to give yourself, you know, the opportunity to be the vice president of the federation?
Well, I have been involved with rugby for at least the last 21 years, from playing for about 21 and then 15 years to coaching. My passion is basically youth development, spreading the game to as many schools I have been. From the school I've been to, St. James Secondary, coached Fatima College, Trinity College, Bishop Sancy High, St. George's, San Juan North. Did some work with Newton Boys Primary School also, and some work with the Ministry of Sports a couple of years ago through a sports camp. So I saw the opportunity to further expand the reach that rugby is at this point in time, and the opportunity to see it as, to grow as a household name and as a national sport.
I know that I'm sure that the both of you all have been having lengthy discussions and putting plans and different things in place, you know, because of when you are elected, or if elected, it's just a year you all have. So there is no time to waste. You'll have to hit the ground running one time. What are some of the plans or policies that you all will be implementing, and what are some of the things that you all will be taking from the previous executive and carrying forward and building on that?
We are fortunate to have a strong foundation that has been built over the past 99 years, 100 next year. And as we continue to move forward, we're building on the policies, procedures, and the information, the expertise that has come before. It should be acknowledged that all of the work that people have been doing as an executive, but also as a community through the clubs and affiliate bodies is very important for us to be where we are now and a platform for us to grow and move further. COVID-19 has us in a very unique situation where throughout 2020, we've been doing work in keeping those connections alive, reaching out to people, seeing what clubs, individuals are doing to stay ready for rugby. And this is a very important thing to acknowledge, that our sport, while we have not been able to play, has not been dormant. So moving into the future, I think it's very important to focus on what can be done. It is difficult to implement plans when there is uncertainty over what's happening with COVID and various restrictions. And focusing on what can and will be accomplished in the next year to put us in a better position for when we can play is very important.
Now, I know that you recently conducted your scholarship in Russia. How do you intend to merge the experience from that, given the opportunity you are elected to be the president? How do you see that playing a major part in charting the way forward with good leadership?
There are a number of things that come together to give me a skill set that will be an advantage, particularly in this environment. My experience on the executive is certainly one of them, as well as my experience in the master's program. One of the things that was fortunate is I began in 2019 when things were going as we expected. And during my time there, we were now faced with the COVID-19, the pandemic. And one of the things that I would credit the university for is adapting so that our lessons and everything that we learned and focused on, it took into consideration the situation that we have now. So what is possible to implement when the whole framework that we have been dependent on is changing and unstable? It taught us to be very adaptable. It taught us to be forward-thinking and to look for alternative ways of making sure that sport grows stronger, even when it seems to be at its weakest.
Don, the role of vice president is very important because you have a lot to do in the absence sometimes of the president. What is your whole mindset of things that you will have, that you will want to bring to the forefront?
Well, one of the things definitely I would like to do or implement is that brand awareness. When I say brand awareness, is that a lot of people not aware that rugby even exists in Trinidad and Tobago. So is trying to educate the general public, you know, of the sports, the clubs in the various areas throughout the country, and to spread it. Also to reestablish rugby in its style, not, you know, taking them away from it. You know, they are part of it. It's Trinidad and Tobago, not just Trinidad. So to try to bring them back into the game and give them that support that they need. Also collaborations with Ministry of Education to get it into primary schools. That's my goal. My goal is to get rugby into primary schools. So to set them at a young age to give them that foundation. So by the time it is they are teenagers. They already have what they need to get study, to compete at a higher level with the region. And from there is to have a wider spread also within schools throughout the country.
But do you all think that 1 year is sufficient time for a new executive to come in and really, because you know in life, once a new executive comes into something, people always look for changes and different things quickly. Do you all think that a year is sufficient time to really get into something and really do things to, you know, to put plans in place then?
I would reiterate that we are not starting from scratch. We have a foundation. We have been working on plans. The executive has stayed in communication to see what can be implemented, to communicate with the stakeholders throughout this period. So we are not starting from scratch. We are building on the plans that we have all been working towards
No,
already.
when I said building from plans, what I really meant really is that, okay, there's COVID happening right now. There's no sport, no rugby activity, right? I'm sure that people are going to be looking at you all to see, well, how they're going to bring some, you know, some sort of semblance to play, you know, doing something. Right?
Well, in regards to what can happen this year, we actually have plans in place, ready to implement. One of them includes using a virtual platform, which will enhance our meeting abilities. It means that members who are further away can have the option to join virtually to meetings and making that information more accessible. We are governed by our management committee, and therefore, if we do not have full attendance of the management committee, it compromises the way that we move forward. So strengthening that as one of the implementation, the ways of implementation moving forward is very important, and we are able to do that now. We're also able to use that platform for education. This can be via workshops, seminars, using the expertise that we have around the country to enhance our education throughout our community and to reach further with the opportunities that are available to everyone that we serve. We can also use that virtual platform for training. The national teams and clubs would have the ability to book times using the platform, whether they want to use it for a Blackboard session or they want to use it for physical training, it will be available. So that is something that we can do now. Other things that we have planned to start this year as well will be televising rugby games. So using footage that we have already had available to us, because of course, if we can't get new footage, we will rely on what we have. And using that opportunity for professional development and educating people throughout Trinidad and Tobago about the game of rugby. It would be regularly viewed on television and with our own voices doing the commentary to provide entertainment as well as education into the sport. This means that when we're ready to play, we would have engaged even more than our players. We will have also engaged the greater community of Trinidad and Tobago.
No, I saw in your article where you stated that you're going to treat this position as a full-time job, right, without no pay. Right?
Correct.
That's commendable.
Thank you.
Because we know for a fact then that you are not going into it for any financial reward, but you're going into it for the love of the game, right? Now, but the other executive members, I guess, have jobs, right? How confident are you all that you can make this thing happen by giving 150% of your time? Because being an executive, the responsibility grows. There's more work to be done. There's more time needed of you. So you all have put all that aside knowing that you are 100% on board to give full attendance.
Our executive is going to be working as a team. And I think today has been a great demonstration of that, whereby the executive will support each other on that team. We will be able to take advantage of each of our personal skills and availability to make sure that the community is served. And also I would like to say that just because there would be new people in positions on the executive, it doesn't mean that we lose the support and that we lose the assets that we have from the experience that has been on the committee already and of people volunteering now, right? One of the things that we have been doing in seeking out people who are interested in contributing via committees is finding areas where people have expertise, people have passion, and making sure that people are in positions that they can be passionate about and give the most that they can to rugby, a sport that would have given a lot to them, as well as align with their professional development. So there are many areas within the community that will assist people in their professional development, in their personal development, so that it's a give and take, it's a reciprocal process.
Now, let's not hide the fact that in everything in life, there are those for and there are those against. The current executive will have their supporters. Should they not be successful and you all come on board, how do you all intend to deal with that aspect where that support might want to draw back a bit because their executive is not in power any longer? How do you all intend to deal with that? Because that is not a normal thing that happens in day-to-day life, right? How are you all going to get the support, you know?
The groundwork has been set. So we are a community where we know each other. And yes, there may be certain feelings that would naturally arise, but rugby is a sport that reaches beyond that.
Okay.
The Ubuntu philosophy is one that I like to subscribe to for rugby. I am because we are. You know, I can't play rugby by myself. I can't compete in rugby by myself. All of the clubs are required. We are all required to build each other, to make each other better, to hold each other accountable to the things that we want to see in the community. And I think that through the groundwork, reaching out to people ahead of this throughout 2020 and even before, we have people who are dedicated to rugby. They are loyal to rugby as a sport, and therefore that is what is going to triumph.
Okay. Don, if given the opportunity to talk to the supporters of rugby, what would you like to, a message you would like to send to them?
I would like for everyone to come together. This is where we could be stronger together as a team. So we have not been as close as we should be, but I think we will make a great impact if everyone come together and work together to make it the most successful that we have not seen it in a very long time.
How do you all intend to get everybody together?
We need to show them the big picture. We need to show them, like, you know, the plans, the developments, how it is how we try to expand the game, how we try to get back on top of the platform as the most dominant team within the region and the wider Caribbean. So we have to, like, everyone at the end of the day is a stakeholder within this. So in order to, if it is you wish to become a driving force, you have to see yourself as someone of value within the organization. So everyone you need to treat everything as professional. We are not professional right now, but you have to look at everything as a profession. So in order to make us reach to that level.
A lot is going to be expected of the both of you all as lead president and vice presidents once you get into there. How do you all intend to handle the expectations of people?
So the expectations of people is very important. I have been in communication with clubs, and I think that it is important to respect their input. Not all clubs would have the same needs. Not all clubs will be equally served by programming that is available. So by getting feedback from the clubs and hearing what their concerns are, what their hopes are, I've been able to use that in the planning process. We've used that with the planning for the national team programs. Those appointments for those technical teams have been made, and I'm very excited to see how dedicated those teams are to making sure that the game is spread fairly throughout the country, including all regions, by having training move to regions rather than expecting players to always have to be the ones on the move. We have technical teams that can do that and bring their expertise to the players in more remote areas. So that is one of the ways that we will do that.
Moving around the clubs, what are some of their major concerns that was voiced to you?
So communication is one of the things where not all of the clubs have the same impression of the information that is available. So one of the things that I have done as the secretary of the union is to use Facebook and Instagram as a way to reach more of our community, and a way to make some of the information more accessible and more readily accessible, and to have interaction with people in the community. I would like to thank everyone who has participated in the Memory of the Day for February, the women who participated in our campaign, our Unstoppables campaign from World Rugby for March, and those who continue to be in contact via that media platform. It's very helpful, not only as far as getting the information that's necessary to move forward, but also to remember the reason that we step up and that we take on this position of service. I would like to thank the athletes who have reached out, who have asked what is happening, who have sent me videos of them training and showing that they are staying ready. And I'm inspired by how dedicated our community is. And moving forward, that is something to build on and something to reward.
I'm going to ask you all the same question I asked the last set of nominees. If not successful on the 20th, what do you all tend to do, and how do you all tend to continue with the plans that you all have implemented for rugby? What's your plan B?
Basically, at the end of the day, as I said, we have to work together as a team. So regardless of if we are selected, appointed or not, it's to work together with each other for the better good, to develop and push the sport.
When you look at your current president, how would you say, what has he impressed you with most in the time that he has been there as president?
So the incumbent has been very consistent over a long period of time, and he has stayed focused on a couple of specific things that he wants to make sure he sees implemented, one of which being, as was mentioned before, the Home for Rugby. And in either case, that is something that the community and the executive will support. That is something that I would like to see him have more time to be able to focus his energies directly on achieving that goal, and having the support for other areas where it's needed covered, so that he can focus and be successful. Setting each other up for success is something that is very important, and making sure that everyone is able to achieve those goals for the betterment of rugby in Trinidad and Tobago.
I want to give you some time now to talk to the supporters and the individuals who are involved in rugby as to why they should, look towards you all for the next year to lead the sport of rugby. So, any one of you all could take that challenge.
Ladies first.
So I would like to say that I am so grateful for the support I have received. I am grateful for the pushes in this direction that I have received, and for everyone who believes in my capabilities and who has seen the effort that I have made thus far in being able to serve in this position. I would say that moving forward, we definitely have a new terrain. Things are changing very often, and we need to adapt to anything that is thrown with us and understand that rugby is going to survive it. We take the tackles, we take the ball in, we get up, and we keep going, and we're stronger because we are a team. And I would like to thank my teammates who have played with me on the field. I would like to thank my teammates in administration who I have worked with. And I would like to say that life is rugby. And I can see so many parallels between this, and I'm grateful to be in this position to give back to a community that has given me so much in life?
First, I'd like to thank you, George, for allowing me the opportunity. I would like to thank, firstly, my club, Caribs RC, for the immense support, too many to name. The stalwarts within rugby who have encouraged and pushed me. TTOC for opportunities for their workshops, sport company by extension, and my fellow colleagues who have been encouraging and motivating and pushing me for the opportunity and seeing the passion in me to see the sport grow and thrive.
So the elections on the 20th, right?
Yes.
What's the venue? Time?
Well, the venue is the police headquarters, and the time is at 5:30. Those who are participating in the voting process have been notified.
Right, and they have to be there for a certain time. And how is the voting going to take place? One person per team, two?
The clubs have representatives who vote on behalf of the clubs and affiliated bodies.
Right. Is there any final thing that you would like to share with us before we wrap this interview?
I would just like to say again, stressing the fact that we have been able to remain a community and even grow as a community through the conversations that we've had and through building the capacity of what it is we would like to see in the future. We have increased the number of individuals that we have in the technical teams. We are using our resources. We have definitely maximized the potential as far as the conversations that have been initiated, and moving forward, we will be continuing with appointments and making sure that individuals with the expertise to make sure we are successful in those areas are appointed and able to work together as a team.
And currently you all have national teams in training, anything like that?
We have made the appointments for the national technical teams, and they are in communication with their teams on how we will be able to proceed based on what we are able to do from the ministry.
And is there any tournaments that is there coming up soon?
There are proposed tournaments towards the end of the year. Again, everything is pending what we can do based on the situation with COVID-19 and everything that's going on in the world. But of course, people in administration are working behind the scenes all the time to make sure that whatever opportunities we can offer are made available.
So you all are confident that given the opportunity, you can lead rugby to greater heights and also build on that foundation that has already been laid, and to put rugby where rugby is supposed to be on the map, alongside other bigger name sports.
What is important is to use this time productively, rather than using an excuse to not get things done the way we want to. It's to find new ways to achieve our goals, and for those things to continue into the future, to be sustainable, so that they supplement the plans that we have already made. And when we roll it out, we will be stronger for having utilized this time to develop new capacities.
Well said. I want to thank you all very much. Is there any final word, anything you would like to share?
I would like to thank Sport, TTOC, RIU, Pan Am, all of these institutions that have impacted the process, the journey that I am on. It has been very important. I would like to thank World Rugby as well for their support and the networking that is being made available, and that makes the plans that I would like to see going forward in 2021 possible.
Well done, Anne-Maria. It was a pleasure. Let me wish you all the best come on the 20th. And as you all said, regardless of the outcome, you all are rugby to the bone. So rugby is in good hands. It's just to continue building, and as Don said, getting people together, because everybody needs to come as one. So again, thank you very much. And I do hope that all the nominees are successful. If not, their life goes on and they will continue to support the sport. So again, thank you all very much, and we will keep in touch. Because we have come to the end of an edition of Scoreboard here on ACTN. You saw a number of the nominees for the different positions in the Trinidad and Tobago Football Rugby Union executive elections on the 20th. We wish them all the best. And as I always say, stay tuned to Acts 25. There is always something for rugby on this station. So I'll see you next week, same time, same channel.